It was a bright Monday morning in the bustling heart of the city, the kind of day when dreams seemed both fragile and possible, and in the towering glass building that held one of the most powerful corporations in the country, a millionaire CEO named Richard Hayes sat behind his massive oak desk reviewing the day's agenda, preparing to meet another line of ambitious candidates desperate for a chance at a job that promised stability, security, and the possibility of a better life, while across town in a small modest home, a young girl named Emily quietly placed a hand on her mother's forehead and realized the fever was worse, her mother too weak to rise, too ill to attend the long-awaited job interview she had pinned all her hopes on, and Emily, only 7 years old but possessing a heart larger than most adults, looked at the wrinkled resume her mother had typed late into the night, smudged with faint fingerprints of effort and hope, and decided that she could not let her mother's dreams slip away simply because life had dealt them an unfair blow. So with trembling little hands she put on her mother's faded gray cardigan that hung loosely on her shoulders, clutched the worn leather folder to her chest, and whispered to her sleeping mom that she would go in her place, not knowing what kind of world awaited her but determined to try because love gives courage where fear normally rules, and so she walked through the noisy streets, people towering over her, cars honking, the world too big and cold for a child, but in her heart was a determination burning brighter than the city lights, until at last she stood before the glass tower that stretched into the sky like a monument to ambition, its polished doors reflecting back her small figure, nervous but unyielding, and when she stepped inside the marble lobby, the receptionist raised her brows in surprise, for never before had a child come in holding a resume and asking politely, in the softest voice, to see Mr. Hayes for an interview. And though the staff exchanged puzzled glances, something about the child's innocent eyes and the way she held herself with quiet dignity made them guide her upstairs instead of turning her away, and soon Emily was ushered into a vast boardroom where Richard Hayes himself, a man known for his sharp suits, sharper instincts, and an exterior that rarely softened, waited to meet yet another candidate. But when the door opened and a little girl with golden pigtails walked in, holding a folder, the room fell silent and Richard leaned forward, his curiosity piqued, asking gently why she was there. And Emily, summoning all her courage, replied with words that cut through the air like truth itself, "Mom's sick, so I came instead," and the weight of her honesty, her raw courage, struck something deep inside the millionaire who had spent years buried in profits, strategies, and numbers but had forgotten the simple purity of sacrifice, and instead of dismissing her, he invited her to sit, watching as she swung her tiny legs nervously under the massive chair, opening the folder with small fingers, trying to explain her mother's skills in the best words she knew, her voice trembling yet sincere, describing how her mom worked hard, stayed up late, cared for her, and would be the most loyal worker if only given the chance, and Richard found himself leaning closer, listening not just with his ears but with his heart, realizing that this interview was unlike any he had ever conducted, and as Emily spoke, every word became a mirror reflecting his own childhood when he too had once lived with a mother who sacrificed everything, and he remembered how it felt to go hungry, to see dreams crumble, to wish for someone, anyone, to believe in you. And in that moment the millionaire CEO was no longer interviewing a candidate, he was witnessing the bravery of love embodied in a child, and though assistants peeked through the door whispering that the schedule was off track, Richard waved them away, captivated, asking Emily more questions, not about spreadsheets or reports but about life, about what she wished for, and the girl answered simply that all she wanted was to help her mom get better and see her smile again. And that single sentence hit Richard harder than any business proposal, for here was a truth money could never buy, and in that moment he silently vowed that he would not only consider her mother for the job but would change the course of their lives, because sometimes angels walk into boardrooms not with wings but with pigtails and oversized sweaters, reminding hardened men of the humanity they had lost, and as Emily finished her little speech, her eyes wide with hope, Richard smiled for the first time in weeks, a smile not of power but of compassion, and told her softly that her courage had just done something extraordinary, not just for her mother but for everyone who would one day hear this story. And as the scene closed with Emily clutching the folder a little tighter, viewers who hear this story are reminded that love, sacrifice, and courage can move mountains. And if you are watching right now and feel the tug in your heart, remember that stories like these are shared to inspire, to remind you of kindness still alive in this world. So if you want to keep feeling these powerful emotions, subscribe to this channel, because every story is a reminder that hope is never lost and goodness still wins, and in the next chapter you will see what decision the CEO makes, how he changes Emily's life, and how her simple act of bravery transforms not just one job interview but the future of everyone involved. So don't miss it, stay tuned and subscribe now so you can continue this unforgettable journey.